Hi everyone, my name's Lex Donkey and welcome to a GameMaker tutorial. This is the third, I believe. I don't know, I forget. One in our how to use GameMaker kind of series. So I actually went back and looked at this and it's terrible. Seriously, if you sat back and watched me make this monstrosity, then I really don't know what you were doing, because if I'd watched myself make this, I would have just skipped straight over it. It's monstrous. So actually what we can just do is we're just going to make a little purple box, because who doesn't love purple boxes? There we go. We'll just have it like that. God. That'll do for the time being. So, in this video, we're going to be going over objects. So, I mentioned them in the first video, the interfacing video. And if you remember, it's this little button here, so create an object. This little ball thing. And when it comes up, it'll all be a bit crazy, and it'll be like, oh, this, and oh my god, what is this? It's really not that. It's probably easier than the spriting interface, and that was pretty easy. So here you've got your name, exactly the same. This will probably keep popping up for some reason. It's done it before, and it's just wanting to keep coming back. So again, in this one, this is our name. So again, we're going to put our prefix. And this is going to be a player object. So this is going to be where we put all of our code in. And for a sprite, we've got this bit here. So you can either make a new sprite for it, but we're not going to do that because we've already got one. If you click this little button thing here, and then click player, it selects you can see here, it selected that image for our object, which is all nice and neat. So you can tick whether it's visible or not. We're going to want this to be visible. Persistent is whether it travels between rooms, but we really don't need to go into that now. You won't need that really a lot of the time. I'd never really use that. Solid, I wouldn't really use that either. It's just as to whether if you're using these ones, the drag and drop functions, you probably want to use that if it's a solid object. But for coding, you don't want that ticked. And uses physics. Leave that. If you're going to go into physics, you'll do it with code, so you will make it yourself. Depth depends how far back it is in the room. So if you're like -5, you'll be in front of something that's 2, for example. But for the time being, again, you can just do that as 0, unless you're going into complicated stuff. Doesn't really need it. Parent, not needed really at all. If I ever do use that, or if anyone else ever does use that, I'm pretty sure they will explain what it is. Mask, again, same thing as a parent, barely ever use it. And children's just the same as parent. And that's basically it. A lot of that you will never use. I don't really at all. And yeah, that is all there is to it as a player. And I've pretty much just covered everything in one go now. So, it's gone to rooms. Yeah, I was talking about them, so we may as well go on to them. Now we've made our little object. So rooms are what you put all your objects in. So if you go over here, explained this before, it's a little white box thing, and that's a room. You'll get presented with this, and it's pretty big and pretty daunting. But there's nothing scary to it really. It's just like a literal room. You can put objects in your room to make it better, prettier. And for this I put RM, stands for room. It's a prefix, and we'll just call it room. So you got your width in pixels, so that's this distance here. So if you're going to make it like a HD game thing, I guess, make it 920, I think. Yeah, that's mine. So this would be how many pixels you could possibly fit on my screen. So if you've got a lower quality screen, I want to drop it down a bit. I personally like working with, forgotten the values now. Just say 720 by 720. I use that in my sandbox one if you didn't already know, and that's quite a nice one to use. Speed, I just leave it as 30 unless you're going into later stuff with the coding. That's just how fast everything works in the game. You don't really need to do anything with that. Persistent, exactly the same as the other. Persistent, and I wouldn't do anything with this, to be honest. I'm not quite sure myself what that actually is, so I would literally just leave that as it is. Probably something very important, or probably not. Along here you have a load of rubbish, is the general bit, and then you've got a snap X and a snap Y. So these are quite important because you've got your little squares here. So if I go to objects, which is how you add an object, and you can see I've got our object here, just ignore this bit. If I go and try and place it, it automatically drops into these snaps, so it's easier for me to place it. But say I wanted to make this very precise, I could change this to like 1 and 1, and I can just drag this around freely wherever I want to put it, which is quite important. And you could just turn your snap off entirely there, whether you could turn the grid off so you can't see it. Zooming, all your common features, things that you'll normally have and normally know of, you can just use your mouse like I do. And then instance ordering, we can just leave that as well. So we've gone through settings, objects, now we've got tiles. Tiles I did mention before, they're like your background. And basically you can choose them with this. We haven't got any, so it doesn't come up with anything. And then just place them in however you want to. And then you can have the layer as well, which is the same as depth. As I said before, you can have different layers basically. Physics, I'd leave that. To be honest, I don't use it myself. I just use my own physics. If you want to check out physics, then in the sandbox tutorial, I did do a bit on physics on that, so you can check that out. Views now, views are important. They are very important. So if we go ahead and enable it, again, just leave this, leave that, and then visible when room starts. You can see we've got this little like box now, so that's where the view will be. Now I always get these muddled up, so don't hold me to it. I would just do what I do and just kind of play around until you get the nice values. But the view in the room, I think, is how much of the room you can see. Yeah, that would make sense. So let's set it to 360, which is half of our room. So you can see we can see half of our room. But we want to make it like full size, so we'll make it 720. So what this will do is it'll make each pixel into 2 pixels, but we can only see this little bit. So it's like putting this little bit and then timesing it by 2 to make it this big. But you can still move around into all the other bits. You can make it follow an object as well, so we place it on our player, and then we can change this to be, I generally make it half of your view size. It makes it kind of neat, or a bit below it. I like to put, let's put 120, it's a bit below 120. And let's just go ahead and back to our objects tab and just put one in, right in the middle. So I've got done all of them apart from backgrounds. Backgrounds are important, because you can choose what colour it is. It's pretty simple, you can just go along, you can just choose your colour. Changes your background, makes it nice. Visible when room starts, leave it. Foreground image, you can make it into an image if you wanted to, your background. And this is just to do with whether if you want to use a foreground image. But generally I just stick to using a colour, or just putting one really big sprite in. So that is how you can make a room. That is how you can make an object. Basically, I've done more than I should have done. So this is going to be, instead of 6 videos long, this is going to be 5 videos long. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, shoot me a like. I know, whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you later.